What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Just Cook with Dustin. I know it's been a while, but I want to hit you up here with how to cook the best ramen at home. We're going to start off by getting our 6-minute eggs going, and then we're going to open up. We've got a package of fresh frozen tantan men ramen. Tantan men is a sesame seed based ramen that I get at my local Japanese market in the frozen section. If you live here in the Phoenix area, Lily also has these in the frozen section, but I get mine from New Tokyo Food Market in Phoenix. If you've got an Asian market around you, check out the freezer section for those. And today I'm working with some Maitake mushrooms. Maitake mushrooms are one of my all-time favorite mushrooms as they have such a great meaty flavor to them. So we're going to take and slice off here a few kind of like Maitake steaks. We're just going to slice them here into nice thick slices, and then we're going to saute them up in some rendered bacon fat. After 6 minutes, we're going to remove these eggs from the boiling water and place them into an ice bath to stop the cooking process. But don't discard that boiling water because we're going to use it to boil our noodles in. But first, we're going to get our cast iron skillet here, put in some rendered bacon fat, and then we're going to toss in our Maitake mushrooms. But we're also going to work on some chard. I got this out of my garden. I've got rainbow chard growing out there this year. And so I'm going to just take out the center woody stemmy pieces out of the center of these, and then I'm just going to cut them into thin slices. One other ingredient I like to add to my tantan men soup base is some garlic. So I'm going to just grate this here on my microplane, and then I'm going to place that into my ramen bowl. So we've got the rendered bacon fat added to our hot cast iron skillet here. We're going to place in the Maitake mushrooms so we can begin the caramelization of those and the cooking, get them a nice golden brown. And to that, I'm also going to add some ham that I have left over from the Easter ham that we cooked. Now, the soup that I'm going to use today isn't just going to be water with the soup base that came with the ramen. What I'm going to be using is bone broth. The bone broth is something that we made using the ham bone from our Easter ham that we left in our Instapot for 2 days, I think 36 hours, with some other aromatic vegetables to make a nice bone broth. So that's what I'm going to be using for my soup base today, and this is ham from that. So we've got the Maitake mushrooms. They're starting to brown up really good there, and then we are going to take this and remove it from the pan, and then we're going to place the chard in here. But first, before we do that, we're going to add some soy sauce. I had friends here this last spring that came in from Japan. We hosted 2 Japanese students this year for the time that they were here in Phoenix. We had such a great time with them, and so this was one of the gifts that they brought us. So I'm going to take the Maitake and remove it from the pan along with that ham, and then we're going to get our chard in here and add a ladle full of that ham bone broth that we made. Now, adding the ham bone broth is going to do 2 things here. One, it's going to steam the chard, but the other is it's going to deglaze the bits and pieces that were on the bottom of the pan from the Maitake mushroom and the ham. So there's just so much flavor, along with that little bit of soy sauce or shoyu that I added to the mushrooms and ham. So we're just going to give these a quick toss in that pan as they steam with that bone broth, and then we're going to set those aside and get our noodles started. So after we get this set aside, we're going to take that pan of hot water that we had boiling from cooking our 6-minute eggs in, and we're going to add the frozen noodles. So these are fresh noodles that have been frozen, so they only take about 2 minutes to cook. And I'm just twirling these to keep them moving because I don't want them to stick to the bottom. Because they're frozen, they're dropping the temperature of the water pretty quickly, but it is going to heat back up. So I just keep this moving. I like to swirl it around in the pan until they start to fall apart, and just let that finish cooking. And right now I'm going to let it go ahead and boil for about an additional minute and a half while I get my ramen bowl set up with my soup and my other ingredients. So over at my ramen bowl, I'm going to take some of that ham bone broth and add it to the garlic. And this is going to kind of cook the garlic as we just mix it around here and get that heated through, and really just get that flavor added to the soup base. And then from there, we're going to add the packet of soup base that came with the tom and ramen. Again, this is a sesame seed based soup, and so we're going to add that in, just give it a good mix. And then once the noodles are finished, we're going to put them into this broth and finish assembling our bowl of ramen. Now this isn't going to be too salty, because when we do our bone broth like we did with this ham bone, we don't add any salt. It's just the bone broth with the aromatics that we cook. So it's like having the best flavored water to add with that sesame soup base that comes with these ramen noodles. So I'm going to add in the rest of that I have, and then I'm going to take the Maitake mushrooms and place those into the bowl along with the other ingredients. These Maitake mushrooms, they have such a great meaty flavor, like I said. And so I've got those from a local mushroom grower, actually. He sells at one of the local farmers markets. And so I was just really happy to be able to find those, because I haven't actually had them since I lived in Japan. So I was really happy about that. So we've got the ham added, and now we're gonna set this aside and take our 6-minute eggs. 6-minute eggs are so amazing in ramen. Just the richness of the yolk. The egg whites are completely cooked. The yolks have just begun to thicken as they've been heated up in that 6-minute egg cooking process. And so they just have such a thick, rich consistency and flavor. I mean, you do not want to pass up on making these for your ramen. Even if it is just the cheap 25-cent package of ramen from the store, throwing together some 6-minute eggs to put in there is just that extra step that's going to add so much flavor. So I've added some white and black sesame seeds to the top of this, and sriracha, and that is it. That is our ramen, the best bowl of ramen that you can make at home. These are amazing fresh frozen noodles that you can get at your local Asian market, and I highly encourage you to try those. And if you have Maitake mushrooms in your area, if you can go pick those during the mushroom season, or if you have some mushroom growers, I highly recommend you get those and try them out. They're such a great and delicious mushroom. I don't know how to explain it. It's amazing. But these 6-minute eggs, the richness of that yolk, the freshness, these fresh frozen noodles just have such a great flavor and a good chew. The chard from the garden, and then some of those Maitake mushrooms and ham from Easter. I mean, this just doesn't get any better than this. When you're stuck at home like we are right now, to be able to have a bowl of ramen that is just so hearty and so flavorful, trust me guys, you want to try this. So if you guys have enjoyed this video, if you've learned something new, I'd appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button and share this video with your friends. Thanks, and take care.